Hi, let's talk about Warlord #1. This is Mike Grell, DC Comics, mid-70s. Of course, Warlord first appeared in DC First Issue Special, number 8, which is a series of first issues because, of course, first issues do sell well. So DC said, hey, let's do a whole series of first issues. But, of course, so this is not Warlord's first appearance, but this is the first issue of his awesome comic series. This was all penciled and plotted by Mike Grell. Mike Grell created the Warlord. Warlord is one in a long series of heroes that basically come from modern day and end up in a world filled with like fantasy and adventure and action. Basically, Travis Morgan is Air Force, and here actually his whole origin is recounted here. He is fighting with the Russians, and then he flies over the Yukon territories, I believe, and is forced to parachute out of his aircraft and lands in a hole in the Arctic, which goes to the center of the Earth, which is where all of the proceedings basically take place with dinosaurs and like tribes and all this stuff. Written and illustrated by Mike Grell, edited by Joe Orlando. This Savage World. I love the font of this title. So now they're recounting all the things that he encounters here. The dinosaurs have these big heads, which was what people thought the T-Rexes looked like back in the day. Here's Demos and I believe Terra. That's their first appearance as well. Demos is the big arch nemesis of Warlord. Travis Morgan becomes the Warlord. I think he appoints his that name to himself. I love all of the illustrations here. Mike Grell was top of his craft here. He a lot of things inspired this. Of course, Edgar Rice Burroughs and all that stuff. So here he's sparring with Terra, and they're making their way to Terra's domain, and here Travis Morgan, the Warlord, lets his guard down, and then Terra, flips him, and there's this sort of like safe for comics pose on top of him. I love the land here, and there's all sorts of throwaway monsters. There's a tiny lizard chasing a dragonfly and everything in the foreground, all the jungles and everything. It recounts Tarzan comics, which were very popular back in the old days, and a lot of artists were inspired by that. Here they try to explain the center of the Earth. There's a center of gravity here, and Travis Morgan tries to explain to Terra that, beneath their feet, 800 miles away, there are whole cities, on the surface of the Earth, but all these people that live here don't really believe any of that. So here, Warlord is hunting and manages to snag a sort of deer, antelope thing. But here's this T-Rex that challenges him for it. Tyrannosaurus, let's get out of here. And so the T-Rex, I love this top-down view of the T-Rex peering down at Terra and the Warlord. Warlord tries to swing on a branch and challenge this T-Rex. But the T-Rex runs off with the antelope, and so now they're hungry again. But they encounter this sort of caravan of slaves and the slavers that are driving them. And they're like, is there nothing we can do? Be thankful that we are not among them. And so Warlord is pondering this. How can they help here? So here's a compass here that Terra has. It's a primitive compass, and I don't know how it works in the center of the Earth where, the gravity and the Earth's magnetism is going to work a lot differently. Yeah, Warlord is flabbergasted by this. Later that night, Terra is serenaded by something. And this is kind of a throwaway quest just for more action and adventure. Um, Warlord follows her, and it turns out that something is driving her away from him. And it's a satyr. And so Warlord confronts him by just punching him in the face and rescues Terra. And they get back to camp. So that's that adventure. But then when they're back at camp, they get attacked by these slavers. And so they capture Terra and Warlord. I love the design work of everybody here. Their helmets. These one guy has bat wings, another guy has just bird wings on his helmet. I love the action here. Mike Grell studied a lot of the human anatomy and stuff to make these characters look more dynamic and pose them in action shots like this. And it's got this, to me, this is a classic DC Comics 70s look. Lots of dynamic adventure and action here, and lines that are very reminiscent of this time. And so Warlord gets knocked unconscious, and when he wakes up, he's captured by the slavers. And here's a bright shot of them being caravanned through the desert with these terrible whips and everything, and they're planning their escape. They gradually and slowly stretch their chains, not all at once, just every so often, to weaken it and weaken it and weaken it. And so they go through all these wonderfully designed lands, and these glowing colors through the garish sun. I love this shot. This the big sort of land bridge, and they're slowly stretching this chain. They almost get found out, and then Warlord attacks one of these guards and finally snaps a chain and has Terra escape without him. And she knows his name is Travis Morgan because she says Morgan, and then he slaps the horse's butt so they can gallop without him. And so it travels across that land bridge while the Warlord valiantly fights all these guys. I like the realism of this. He fights a bunch of guys, and he sends a lot of them to their doom, as you can see on the left here. But he can't ultimately defeat all of them, and he does get knocked unconscious yet again. When he wakes up, he's trapped. This guy says, we're going to leave you for dead here, strapped to this tree. And Warlord's like, stick it in your ear. And the guy's like, how amusing, bravado, coming from a man in your position, and then laughs as he runs off. And that's it. They never produced any other issues after number one. No. Of course, Warlord's going to escape. But this is the end of Warlord's first issue. Awesomely drawn. This is art that you just don't see anymore in comics because everything is shadowed and augmented by computers. But this is Mike Grell at his peak, and it's pretty amazing. The entire run is great. So I hope you liked looking through this first issue of Warlord with me. Until next time, take care.